from self-discovery to unapologetic passion, from inner strength to outward influence. It's Your Turn charts the journey of empowerment. Welcome to our series, where the book comes to life. In each episode, we explore a chapter's wisdom through real stories. We uncover the strategies that turn potential into power. And we witness how one woman's journey can inspire countless others. Prepare to see yourself in these pages and voices. Because with every story, we're reminded, it's your turn to write the next chapter.
Welcome. Today's guest on the It's Your Turn book interview series is Nina Aouilk, and you are about to learn that her life's mission is deeply rooted in her personal story and her dedication to making a profound impact. Nina is a transformative force in advocacy and coaching, celebrated for her groundbreaking work against honor killings, forced marriages, and gender-based violence. Honored as Woman of the Year 2023 at the House of Lords, Nina's impact is recognized on national advisory boards, including the Home Office Forced Marriage Unit and Scotland Yard. A distinguished member of the Freemen of the City of London and the Royal Society of Arts, she earned the 2024 True Honor Award. As a founder of London's Life Coach, Nina empowers UFC fighters, elite athletes, and C-suite professionals to enhance their performance and resilience through mindset coaching. And she also advises large organizations on cultural intelligence and gender-based discrimination. A TEDx speaker, a best-selling author, and co-founder of the nonprofit End Honor Killings, Nina is dedicated to creating safer, more inclusive environments worldwide, rescuing girls and women from forced marriages and honor-related violence. Her remarkable journey is driven by a heartfelt mission to replace fear with love for every individual across the globe. Nina, your story is a testament to the power of resilience and the transformative impact of embracing one's authentic self. So a warm welcome to this conversation. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I'm so curious to learn from you because in my book, It's Your Turn, we are talking about how to bring whatever you have experienced and also how to bring your gifts and your talents to the world, not only for yourself and for your own success, but to take that to the next level and paying it forward, giving back. And that is absolutely what you have been doing and what you also have been recognized and awarded for. So I am so proud to have you here. And you chose to have the conversation with me about part one of my book that is called Reframing Your Inner Narrative. And in the first chapter, Shaping Influence, we explore the pivotal role that early influences and cultural narratives play in shaping our identities and aspirations. And your journey as a survival turned activist, speaker, and coach offer these amazing insights into navigating complex influences and emerging as a confident, empowered leader. So let's delve into your experiences and the strategies that you have employed to shape your own influence and help others overcome trauma and adversity. Which role models and experiences have inspired you to transform from a survivor to an activist?
Yeah, often people reference well-known people as their guide or somebody they looked up to or somebody they aspire to be like. But from a young age, I've always been inspired and wanted to be like those people that show kindness without gratification or without a reason. It's unconditional, like the person in front of a queue that allows you to go forward because you have two items, or the person that stops and helps somebody off a train because they are struggling with a wheelchair or a pushchair, whatever the case may be. Those people that are the daily heroes living their lives, but also making time to step out and be kind, to give something to the other people around them. For me, those people are the hidden heroes. We don't talk about them. They don't ask for recognition, but they make the world a better place.
Absolutely. Yeah, they can absolutely make your day. And it can also make your day by helping somebody with this love and kindness. Absolutely. Yeah. And so how did they inspire you to make that transformation?
It goes back to when I was 14. I was in a very difficult place of my life. At that time, I was actually in a abortion clinic where I ended up for the first time coming into connection with a humankind that actually touched me, because nobody had physically touched me at that age in a good way. This lady, she was working as a nurse or as a helper, I'm not sure what her role was, but she brought me out a cup of tea and a biscuit, and she stroked my hair in a very motherly fashion. And we crave love. As adults, we crave love. As children, we want that recognition that we matter. And she really left me with a lasting impact. That's the one thing I choose to remember from a bad scenario, because it was a positive. It was something that made me feel loved, seen, and heard. And I think as people growing up, that's what we want. That's what we want as adults. It's the human interaction that gives you that hope that humanity is good. And I wanted to be like her. I wanted to also extend love in a way that I would make somebody else feel safe. And she did that for me.
Wonderful. Did your cultural background influence your journey to become this activist, to pay it forward?
So my culture and community are very against girls. They celebrate the birth of a boy. They won't celebrate the birth of a girl. It's a very sort of quiet affair when a girl is born, very solemn almost. So as a young girl, I didn't have that self-worth. It wasn't given to me as gifted. I wasn't loved. I wasn't cared for. And my culture made me love, though, in a different kind of way. It made me give without a condition. There was no transactional value. It was just something I was doing from my heart to make others happy, which happens when you are brought up in trauma often. But through that, I found my purpose. So I'm grateful that my culture had these cultural crimes, I call them, that I endured and that I went through and lived through, to make me understand that they're not right and that we can do something about it. I want to also stress that culture and religion are two different things. Religion teaches us a totally different narrative to what culture and community teaches. And community really matters in my culture, because it matters what the neighbours are saying, what the aunties are saying, what the uncles are saying. So often parents take a different kind of path because they're wanting to please those people around them and be seen in a certain way.
Yeah. Looking at that as a victim of abuse, society looks in a certain way at victims and has like certain expectations about victims and how they behave and what they do and what they don't do and say and don't say. So how did you navigate these societal expectations about victimhood and recovery? Because you obviously did something completely different of what is standard. So what challenges did you face and how did you navigate those?
I mean, society often victims shame victims, and then they say the victim is playing up and the victim is working on the victim mentality and they're still stuck in their ways. But it doesn't help that people won't allow you to be a victim, because I think it's very important to stand in your truth as a victim, to acknowledge what you've been through, to look at the trauma and say, do you know what? I've had a really hard time. I've had a very difficult childhood. Because when you acknowledge something, it's almost that path you're starting to go towards a path of releasing, letting go of it. Whereas if you try to say, I'm not a victim, it never happened to me, it wasn't that bad, you're retaining that pain, you're almost keeping it close to your chest. So I am a victim survivor, I say, because once I was that victim and I acknowledge that, I speak out because I want change. And I wrote my own narrative, whereas my community had written the narrative of who I should be, how I should be act as a daughter, how I should act as a wife, how I should act as a student, how I should act as a sister, how I should act as an aunt. I didn't get to choose that. Everything was written for me. It was almost like a program they'd put inside me, and I was just running on autopilot. When you sit back and you say, am I doing this because it's what's expected of me, or is it because I'm doing it because I want to do it? It's a totally different ball game. And the guilt that you feel making your own decisions is very overwhelming, because you are taught so much to serve your parents, serve the community, be the good girl, do the things that are right for the community. And when you want to do something for yourself, you suddenly have this pang of anxiety to say, should I be doing this? But it's nothing bad that you're doing. You're just looking after yourself, which is what we should all be doing.
Absolutely. So where did you find the strength, the courage to do this? What did you develop in order to just shift that?
Honestly, most people would do something for someone else before they do it for themselves. We would rather help somebody reach their goals and push ours aside, because women especially, we're brought up this way. We're the nurturers. We don't tend to put ourselves first. I found the courage by acknowledging everything that I was as opposed to what I wasn't. The things that everybody said they didn't like about me, I decided I would like those things. That my ex-partner, my parents, everybody I've known has called me fat and ugly. And I just thought, if I am that, then I'm going to be the most beautiful in my head, that version of fat and ugly. I started to disregard their words and replace them with my own, which is very difficult. Writing your own narrative when you've been told something all your life, it's difficult, but then everything that's worth having is never easy. You have to go through that difficult period. And people don't see what's going on in the background. I am a mindset coach for sports people. Nobody sees them training. Nobody sees them not wanting to get up, but they get up. Nobody sees them failing and falling to get up again. And life is like that for us. We struggle behind the scenes often, but people only see what they want to see. They see she's doing this now, she's successful now, but they don't see what it's taken to get there and what you have to continue doing to stay there. So you're constantly fighting almost to survive in this world of recognition, to bring a message forward as an activist, to make a change. You get a lot of negativity thrown at you, that you're called a liar, that you're after attention. And often I feel that those are the people that are not on the same frequency as you. They're singing from a different hymn sheet. They're thinking it themselves, about themselves. They're almost imposter syndrome, so they impose it upon you. And I would say, if anybody's thinking about going on this path, you have to stay true to yourself. Stand in your truth. Don't feel bad. Be honest and think about the change you want to make, that you'll keep going.
That's beautiful. And absolutely changing that external framework and building your internal framework, your internal narrative. That's also what I'm writing about in the book, and how to do that. And of course, your situation was very extreme. And for the people who don't know you, we will make sure that the information, and you have these amazing testimonial videos talking about your life and what you have been going through, and we will make that available also here on the website. For many of us, our stories are more, acceptable as what happens to us in life, but yet a lot of our stories are told for us and not by us. And so it's so important to understand and to see that we can change that narrative, and that we have the capacity to write our own story, and even to rewrite in terms of refocus, reframe the story of our past. And that's very powerful. Now, you can rewrite your story, but then, of course, you also, a certain moment, you embrace this role as activist, which is like the next level. So what was like the pivotal moment, or a pivotal moment, where you say, yes, this is me, I embrace this role? Because it is going outside, it is being a lot more visible, but also a lot more susceptible to critique and bad influence and toxic feedback. So what made you take up that role and that commitment?
I was homeless sort of 8-9 years ago. I had left a relationship for 23 years that wasn't really love, because I didn't know what love was. I wasn't brought into love, so I didn't know about love. I didn't know who I was. And at 50, I discovered I feel who I was. Journey to self-discovery, which a lot of us go through when you hit a pivotal moment in your life. It could be at 25, it could be at 30, it could be much younger or older, either way. I wanted to do something because my sister had been trafficked at the age of 6, sold by our father. Something similar had happened to me at the age of 15. And when I had an opportunity to do something, I didn't do anything about it. And the problem is that if we don't hold people accountable, they do the same thing over and over again. When I got to 50 and I discovered myself, I knew there was something I had to do. I had to make a difference for her, Julia, but I also needed to do it for all of the other Julias, all of the other Ninas. And I gave up something that's very precious to me, which is my safe space. I'd found freedom. I'd found, for the first time in my life, a place I was safe. And I gave that up because I knew that somebody had to do something. And I felt I'd survived the numerous times of attempted murder that I'd gone through to bring a message to the world. I used to think, why would anyone listen to me? And at the beginning, nobody did. But I knew there was something within me that just had to express and tell people my story so they too could find their freedom. And that's how I found my purpose. That's how I found where I'm supposed to be. And with that comes a lot of liberation. You become very light. You become very free. You become very passionate and focused on your end goal. I have never been happier, I have to admit, because I know I'm going to leave this world in a better place than how I found it.
Beautiful. A lot of us are a little bit reluctant to show up and take this role as an activist or just raise their voice because of women. As women, we have been educated. It's like cultural, it's historical. I call it sometimes epigenetical, to serve and to be nice and not to disturb too much, not to confront too much. And then when you raise your voice and when you say, no, this is enough, we encounter skepticism. And people say, are you really going to do this? Why do you step up? Why don't you stay in your comfortable situation? Why are you so difficult? Why are you such a bitch sometimes? So I want to bring this to you also, because I believe that you have absolutely overcome that from your internal narrative. But people that are listening and that are watching this conversation might not feel how they can do that. So how did you overcome that? This negativity around what we are like defined as women to do and not to do, and just still do it and stand up and show up.
I think with myself and many other women listening to this, we've been controlled all our lives. And we've allowed that because it's what we do. It's just how it's supposed to be. But when I took back that control, I felt very empowered. I felt very able to make a difference. And you don't have to go through something traumatic to make a difference. You don't even have to have your face shown to make a difference. You can become an activist or find your purpose through a different way. It's just having a passion to want to make a change. If you even mentor somebody or help somebody else with their cause, spread awareness. So many people have shared my videos that I reached 60 million views on one of them. I couldn't do that alone, but together we were stronger. So people were helping me. They were sharing their videos and saying, watch this. And then another person would watch it, another person would watch it. You can spread the message for somebody else and still leave an impact on this world and feel a sense of achievement in a totally different way than any career, any family situation could give you. I've never come across these feelings before that I'm now going through of self-worth, because I'm doing it not just for the people that I'm helping, but because I have healed, because I'm in a great place. I'm also giving back to myself. It's almost I'm a car and I'm looking after every part of my car that needs the oil. The water's always up to date. I'm looking after myself as a vessel. And so many people don't do that. It doesn't mean if you become an activist, you don't look after yourself. It doesn't mean that one part of your life has to be looked, you don't pay as much attention to it. There's a balance. And having that title of being an activist makes me feel proud. It does. It makes me feel that I will start a ripple of change maybe for generations to come. Maybe I am the ripple of change. I said to somebody the other day that maybe it's my great-granddaughter that will change things, and I'm just starting this off, because we often feel, who am I to do this? How can I do this? And she said to me very calmly, maybe, Nina, you are that great-granddaughter that's making the change. And that really struck me, that she's right. Maybe it's me, and why not? And I'll stand in that place and take that precedence to move forward with it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I also love that you see your role as an activist in the wholeness of you as a person, in the integrity of you as a person. There are so many parts of us that we tend to neglect, or that we're afraid that we will neglect them if we take up or manifest as more in one particular role. So thank you also for bringing that you are one person and not only the activist. And there's a lot of self-care and self-awareness in like your daily routines and rituals. And I also believe it needs a lot of self-confidence to be that whole person.
I think I've
So
just stopped caring, Helena. I think I've just stopped caring. We care so much about what people think, what
mm,
people say, but they're going to do it anyway. So I just don't care anymore.
yeah. Yeah, not in the way that it influences you. And yeah, yeah. And so when we look at your work with UFC and PFL MMA fighters, I don't know about these abbreviations, but it's probably not really relevant. But I guess also when you are in organizations with C-suite professionals, these are very often male-dominated contexts. So a lot of us, a lot of women work in very male-dominated contexts, and that's not a judgment. That's just a reality. Look at the boards, look at the C-suite. So what strategies have you developed to navigate these spaces, and what would you advise other women in order to show up there also a little bit more and with confidence, but with ease and flow and grace, if I can call it like that.
I think because I was brought up in a very male-dominated family with two older brothers and my father, and then my extended family were all male cousins, so it was just really me. I feel that I maybe have some of their traits. I don't overthink anything. I just get on with it. I also, with the people that I coach, they're just people. We're all different. You have some men that are slightly more feminine, some women that are slightly more masculine. It's just part of life. But if you're in a male dominated area where you're working and you feel intimidated, that's okay. It's a feeling that you feel, but what can you do to understand you deserve to be there? You wouldn't be in the position that you're in if they didn't think that you could do it. So you have to stop and actually say to yourself, actually, I might feel a little bit different because I am a woman in a male dominated environment, but I was asked to be here. I worked hard to be here. So I'm meant to be here. And just accept that. Accept it as a gift, accept it and be grateful. And don't question it. I think when we start to question things, they become bigger and bigger in our minds. It's sometimes very difficult. I've been speaking to some young girls recently who are working in male dominated services directly to the public, and they say that there's a lot of male chauvinism, there's a lot of sexist comments, and they shouldn't have to be subjected to them. And it's that uncomfortable conversation sometimes you need to have, which stops it. Because if you don't tell somebody what they're doing wrong, they're going to keep doing it and doing it, not just to you, but to somebody else. My thing is, I never wanted anything to happen to anybody else that had happened to me, which is why I became an activist. Not only will you be doing yourself a great service, you'll be doing it for others. You'll be carving the way for others to come through that door and be in a safer environment because you didn't have it. Have a gentle conversation with somebody that's maybe being disregarding you and your worth as a woman, or being disrespectful by saying sexist things to you. And to say, when that happens, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. It would be great if you could just support me because I love the work you do and you inspire me. It's how you talk to people, the words you use that are really going to help you to elevate. And there's no reason you shouldn't elevate just because of the gender that you were born.
Absolutely. Beautiful. In the book, we are also talking about success, and not only career related, but success in life. And what I see and what I find is that the definition of success varies enormously depending on who is talking about it. And yet, success has this specific connotation that a lot of us, a lot of women are feeling like success is something we have the same with money. It's something it's like a taboo, or it's maybe even a little bit dirty. And for me, it is so important. It's also what I do in the work I do with clients, is to have your own definition of success. Yeah, you already talked about the other narrative, or the narrative that was put on you, and replacing that with your inner narrative. So what is your definition of success for you in life that can be like a source of inspiration and encouragement also for other women?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I have been a millionaire. I have had several businesses running. I've raised three amazing children that have been seen in the local community as winners in whatever they were doing. But that never meant that I was happy. I was surviving. I was putting one foot in front of the other. I was smiling to the outside world. And when I would go home, internally, I was destroying any hope that I had. And I was just incredibly unhappy. There was always something missing, but I didn't know why, or if I was being selfish for wanting something more, but I just knew things weren't right. And for those who don't know my story, my relationship was very abusive. But there's something within us that sometimes stops us from being that most successful version of ourselves. And the most successful version of me is now, whereby I may have less on a monetary level, but I have so much more on a spiritual and loving level for myself. There's nothing that anybody can throw at me that I would believe, because I'm so sure of who I am now. I'm not searching for who is Nina when she's not a mother, who is Nina when she's not a sister or a daughter or a friend. I know exactly who I am. It's such a huge amount of wealth that comes on a different kind of level. And we overthink things. And when we think things, it takes a lot of energy to think about it. Whereas I think less now about certain things, which takes less energy, which means I have more time to be calm, time to be happy, and to enjoy my life. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that we don't often listen to our bodies or our minds. We shrug it off and we say it doesn't matter. But our bodies are constantly trying to tell us we're sick, constantly trying to tell us we're not happy, constantly trying to tell us something needs to change. And we don't want to have that conversation with ourselves. But if our voices could speak, I'm sure we would maybe take more attention to when these things happen. For me, success is having the freedom that I have, for having that love in my heart for myself, for having that assurance that things are going to always be okay, because now I'm the master of my own destiny, that I can control this. And also, success for me is knowing that I have rescued a young girl from a forced marriage or an attempted honor killing, and she is now going on to live her life. And tomorrow she will become that warrior, that person to stand up and say, no, this won't happen because I was helped. I want to help you. And then we start that domino effect across the world where success is being felt by every person on a different level. And that's the beautiful thing in my mind of how success should be. It should be shared.
I love that. That's very beautiful. Success should be shared. Absolutely. Absolutely powerful. Thank you for that. Nina, as a last question, what would be your best advice for women that are inspired by who you are and by what you're doing, and that want to use that as a source of courage and inspiration to show up, to raise their voice, and to say, it's my turn. It's my turn to be there as the complete woman with all my gifts and all my strengths. And I want to pay it forward. I want to give back. What would be your best advice?
I always say I'm nothing special. I'm special to myself, but on the outside world, I'm just one person. In the words of Whitney Houston, I am every woman. What you are, I have. We see each other. I'm your mirror. There's nothing I haven't done that you can't do. There's nothing that you want to do that you cannot do. It's just a case of seeing within yourself that you are able to do it. I know that anybody can do anything. It's just having that slight shift in your minds to say, this is what I would like to do. And I think finding a purpose can be difficult sometimes. It can be a question of, I've been through this, I want to help people with this. I've had a child who's sick. I've had a son or a daughter that have gone through medical school. Maybe I want to help them. Maybe I want to, I don't know, help a homeless person. There's so many things that we go through in our life's lessons that we're not sure what our niche is, what our real purpose is. And I think you just have to follow your heart. It will lead you there. It literally will lead you there. And you can help as many people as you want in whatever capacity. But when you have that one thing you're focused on, the impact is different than scattering yourself too thinly. I feel that you can bring so much more forward in that subject matter and really make a change.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that advice, Nina. Nina, it is wonderful talking to you. Every time I hear you and I see you, I feel your energy and I feel your commitment and your dedication to make this world a better place. And we share that mission. Absolutely. We have very different backgrounds, but we are on the same cause. And I think it's so important that we support you and that we make sure that as many people hear from you and about you and are encouraged by you as possible. So that's why the video will also be here with Nina's story. So watch it. I promise you, it's absolutely powerful, and share it because, as you already said, Nina, together we can do a lot more, and success is a shared thing. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much also for supporting the book. I love what you do. I love your energy. You are here on this world with a big cause, and it's amazing the way how you bring that to the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.